Okay, so if you live under a massive rock and haven't heard yet, after 12 years, MatPat is leaving the YouTube channel he created that really needs no introduction. It's called Game Theory. Like millions and millions of other people, MatPat's theories have impacted my life so much, and I thought it would be a really cool tribute to Game Theory to watch every single episode. Okay, maybe just the original ones? It's still like way more than 100 game theories, I promise. I did suffer for this video. When I realized I wanted to rank episodes, I thought about just ranking MatPat's most popular theories. Then I realized I would just be ranking FNAF videos. Like, that's not a roast, they're literally all FNAF videos. So I went with original game theories because there's so much charm to the editing and other aspects of the earlier videos. I'm gonna consider an original game theory anything before MatPat started his YouTube Red Show with Big Boy YouTube himself. This was also around when Film Theory and GT Live were created. Also, this entire video is personal preference. Okay, let's go. F tier, number 121. This is the only episode in the F tier because let me paint a picture for you. I was 10 or 11 or something and I ran out of FNAF theories to watch, so I went further back in MatPat's extensive repertoire of game theories, and this was what I found.
Bombshells, busties, bouncers, bobbies, bronskies, buttons, bobs.
It keeps going like this? I hope you can see why I was scarred. No child should ever have to hear the word chesticles. Even MatPat himself has stated.
So embarrassed about it. Oh no.
Look at the description. Why are you reading this? It's about...
The boob episode is just so different from modern game theory that it truly deserves the entire so bad it's good F tier all to itself. D tier, number 120. Contrary to the boob episode, a lot of the lowest episodes I picked are just because I don't care whatsoever about the topics they explore. And if there's one topic I can't stand, it's cars. I don't know a single thing about cars. I keep walking up to the wrong car in the parking lot thinking that it's my car, and I don't realize it's the wrong car until I've already made eye contact with the person sitting inside. MatPat, don't talk about cars ever again, please. Number 119. In this episode, MatPat talks about different kinds of tanks. Tanks are basically war cars, and if there's one topic I can't stand, it's cars. Number 118. MatPat talks about why nukes are scary. MatPat, I know that nukes are scary. Also, if there's a second topic I can't stand, it's physics. Physics is the worst of the sciences. As you will come to learn if you keep watching this video, I am a biology and anatomy girly. Get this math that pretends to be science out of my face, please. Number 117. I don't hate this episode. In fact, I actually found it kind of interesting. It talks about how game companies use rage baiting in their marketing. The issue with this video is its thumbnail. So you might be thinking, what thumbnail could possibly bring a solid B tier video down to low D tier? Yeah, this video is not about FNAF, and MatPat knew exactly what he was doing slapping this guy on the thumbnail. I'm not mad about this. MatPat absolutely deserves those sweet, sweet FNAF views. But I just know that I saw this back in the day and thought the new FNAF video was out and was severely disappointed when I clicked on it. Number 114 through 16. I don't know what these things are. Number 111 through 13. In these episodes, MatPat shows the viewer power armor in real life, verifies settings based on real life places, and shows the viewer cyborg technology. So, these either aren't theories or barely qualify as theories. That's okay, game theory started itself out with a mission to educate the gamers, but at least to me, these episodes feel like I'm actually learning, and I hate actually learning. Number 110. We have a theory! The issue is that the theory is about what species of frog the frog from Frogger is. Number 106 through 9. These episodes are about physics. I don't like physics. Number 105. This episode is also about physics, but I put this above the other physics episodes because MatPat is so certain he can make the viewer think that maybe, just maybe, humans can fly like a helicopter with their legs.
When you look at some of the crazy martial arts stunts that people can do nowadays, self-propelled flight doesn't seem all that far-fetched. There's only one way to find out though, so sharpen your pencils, class.
When MatPat tells you the inevitable conclusion that it is not biologically possible for humans to fly with their legs while keeping their bodies intact, I'm a little offended by how he wants our minds to be blown. Number 103 and 4. In these episodes, MatPat explains that there are war crimes in Call of Duty and drugs alter time perception. MatPat, my boy, I know you got a 1600 on your SAT, you are very smart. but that doesn't mean the rest of us are complete idiots. With love, I feel like we could have figured these things out on our own. Number 101 and 102. In these episodes, MatPat proves that Samus's morph ball is not cool, and the goddesses of this mobile game are not too sexy. I want to be told that things are cool, not that things are uncool. Number 100. I have to do 100 more of these? In this episode, MatPat covers the history of immersive screens from the first TV up to the most recent TVs, as of the early 2010s. Taking into account not wanting to have to run or smell while playing a video game, MatPat concludes that people don't want any gaming experience more immersive than what they have now. MatPat, I bet you wish that was true as you play VR Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh god!
Number 99. My honest reaction to this episode was, is this a sponsorship? That or he's being held at gunpoint by League of Legends staff.
It's free to download, free to play, and beats the heck out of anything you're gonna find on addicting games. Plus, with over 85 champions to master, ranging from the epic to the quirky.
MatPat, blink twice if you need help. C tier. Number 97 and 98. These two episodes take a look at why people play video games, whether it's to win at the nerd equivalent of gambling or for a community of other gamers. They're cute. They're fine. These episodes are completely, 100% okay. In fact, that's how I feel about a lot of episodes from the C tier. In order to not spend too much time talking about episodes I don't really have many thoughts on, here's a list of episodes that are also completely, 100% okay. Number 88 and 89. These episodes connect video games to real-world politics. I doubt the creators of Donkey Kong Country intended to represent the American occupation of Central American countries and the shady action of the United States banana market, but it sure is fun to pretend that they did. Number 85 through 87. These episodes look at the Pokemon jinx that looks suspiciously like a certain old-timey form of entertainment that has fallen out of favor in recent years. It's good to stay educated on pressing political controversies. Number 84. The shocking reveal is that the Donkey Kong from the first ever Mario games was the grandfather of the Donkey Kong we see in modern Mario games. MatPat, Matthew Patrick Matthias Patias. It is not that shocking. Oh my goodness, stop yelling at me, please. Number 83. This is it. The original FNAF theory, the start of it all, eventually getting MatPat a cameo in the FNAF feature film and the most viewed theory on the channel. So, why isn't this my number one theory then? Or at least higher than number 83? Well, if you actually go and watch this theory, it was barely about the game's actual lore, and it's more of a true crime episode. MatPat links the plot of the first FNAF game to a real-life quintuple murder at Chuck E. Cheese. This real-life murder case is never mentioned again in any of his FNAF theories. This theory is wrong, and I think MatPat knows it. It's also kind of in a moral gray area. Like, I guess it's fine if MatPat wants to connect FNAF to this murder case, but then he starts making connections between specific real-life victims of this murder and the Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics. Imagine if you lost your child in this real-life murder case, and then found this internet guy comparing your dead child to Chica or some shit. That's insane! Also, here are some other FNAF theories that I thought weren't incredible either. Number 81 and 82. This theory is based on the fact that the kid you play FNAF for from the perspective of couldn't be having nightmares like we see in the game because he had his frontal lobe bitten off. But there are so many easy workarounds for this. Like, what if he only had part of his frontal lobe bitten off? And FNAF will never end because creator Scott Cawthon purposefully makes the story look like there could be multiple solutions to keep you hooked. Moving on, number 79 and 80. This whole video concept feels like MatPat woke up one night with this idea in his head and wrote this episode and never looked back. This theory is about how every video game is connected in one big mega game universe. I love it, but it does feel like a game theory fever dream. This Zelda episode is kind of a continuation of the last episode, with MatPat using the many worlds interpretation, or parallel universes, to explain how characters could act so differently in separate games. While this Easter egging isn't really my cup of tea, it is a cool concept. Number 78. Did you know there were gangs in London? That's all I have to say. Number 73 through 77. In the interest of time, this is a list of theories that explore interesting topics with evidence to back them up, and I don't have much else to say about them. Number 71 and 72. These episodes look at the way gaming companies respond to the way people purchase their games. In this episode, MatPat explores how even more so recently, people are sick of paying for subscriptions and are way more likely to try something and pay money in video games if purchases only come optionally later. In this episode, MatPat looks at how, despite how people claim to want originality in gaming, sequels simply sell better. Putting these two videos together, we can see how gaming has evolved and likely will evolve in the future. Lots of sequels and in-game purchases. Even though these theories are from like 2015, this is definitely still a model we see today, especially in mobile gaming. Number 68 through 70. These episodes look at more marketing. The thing with the Virtual Boy is cool. MatPat makes connections between the Wii U and Virtual Boy that could have predicted its failure. Here, MatPat explains how World of Warcraft is an economy and can be used to model and try out solutions for real-life economic issues like inflation. And Nintendo is purposefully underpricing amiibos so more people buy them in the long run. MatPat also mentions how he had never seen Steph's dad.
More excited about talking about anything ever.
And I think that's just really wholesome. Number 67. MatPat visited locations that the Assassin's Creed games are based on in real life, hoping he would find something to talk about. He didn't, but he did make a whole episode about something that didn't need any being on location for. Can you pass down memories through genes? MatPat concludes, kind of. You can choose to encode your current genotype for millions of dollars. Also, holy shizzle, y'all, watch this clip.
I know for a fact that only 1/6 of my views come from subscribers.
That's literally almost word for word what Dream does.
Also, only a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed.
But MatPat did it like 6 years before Dream did it. Do you think Dream saw this? Okay, number 66. These Legend of Zelda theories look at Link's loot. Like, the stuff he has. This one sees which version of Link is stronger based on abilities and items and stuff like that, and this one explores if there are any real-life equivalents to Link's things. And MatPat eats wheatgrass in this one. I gotta give credit where credit is due. Number 65. This theory goes to ridiculous lengths to prove this guy's sex. It covers finger length ratios, shoulder to torso ratio, mental illness. We're analyzing nothing that the developers probably put into the game intentionally, so this is absolutely an episode of game theory. Aside from this video not completely 100% holding up today because of the way we've learned gender versus sex work since 2013, it's good. Number 64. In this episode, MatPat conducts his own experiment in GTA 5, where he uses 3 different characters and interacts with the cops in the game. It's cool to see MatPat make his own experiment with control variables and multiple trials and all the things you have to do in science class. Solid episode. Number 63. Here, MatPat analyzes the biology of living on BioShock's floating city. This isn't a super crazy theory or anything. I just like it because floating cities are cool. Number 60 through 62. These 3 theories use geology and price comparisons to figure out just how many dollars each of these gaming items are actually worth. It's a lot of math. Math is fine. Fine theories. It is late at night and I am tired. Number 57 through 59. These 3 vintage game theories cover some morbid topics, from ripping hearts out of living people, to arrows in the knee, to the physics of inflating a person to their death. While the word theory is kind of generous when describing some of these episodes, they are a little gory, just the way I like my game theories. Moving on. Okay, finally, B tier. Number 56. This super old game theory covers MatPat's number 1 favorite game ever, Earthbound. His claim is a simple one. Ness isn't just leaving his home to fight aliens, but also leaving his home and experiencing the real world. It's cool to see MatPat do a dark theory as he explores possible real-world inspirations for Earthbound, like cults of Japan and police brutality. Number 55. In this more recent episode, MatPat actually borrows Halo armor from Microsoft and talks with a real-life body armor expert. I love seeing MatPat explain his nerd things to the armor guy.
To maneuver quickly on the battlefield, which is cool.
It makes sense.
Number 54. This game theory actually talks about game theory. Or like, probability? I don't know what the word game theory actually means. Anyways, I like probability, and I like this little underappreciated nerd episode, if you could call anything with 1 million views underappreciated. Number 53. Here, MatPat calculates that people collectively spend over 200 years waiting in line at San Diego Comic-Con. That's fun and terrifying. What are we doing? Number 50 through 52. This unofficial PewDiePie trilogy looks at aspects of being a YouTube celebrity, such as having to keep up with a changing algorithm, traditional media not understanding you, and having the power to make things popular. While PewDiePie is the big name associated with these videos, these scenarios apply to anyone in a similar position, and I remember these videos giving me a little bit more respect for my favorite creators at the time. Number 49. This good guy is a bad guy. This is a quick, simple little theory, but it's cute, and I like it. Number 48. I'm not familiar with the Destiny games, but according to MatPat, this knockoff Epcot ball is evil, and according to the comments, he predicted this correctly. Good job, MatPat. I am proud. I guess. Number 46 and 47. This episode claims creationists shouldn't be mad about evolution in Pokemon games because there is no evolution in Pokemon games. This theory, with help from some other gamer nerds, does the opposite. But oh my goodness, with their nerd power combined, the signature game theory charm is turned up to 1,000 in this one. MatPat, I aspire to have your level of confidence. Number 45. This episode looks at an obscure Pokemon myth and creepy Pokedex entry saying that humans and Pokemon are actually the same. This makes the theory that humans are abusing Pokemon by keeping them in Pokeballs forever worse, huh? Number 44. Putting aside the irony of MatPat now being in a video game movie, this theory from 2015 shows just how far game movies have come, from a shady European money-making scheme, as shown in the theory, to some movies that are at least a little bit better than that. Number 43. This is a kind of morbid game theory where MatPat looks at experiments about revitalizing the dead, like what happened to this guy in Mass Effect 2. Number 40 through 42. These three theories conclude that Bullet Bill is not very deadly, Link's quest in Majora's Mask is very pointless, and Sonic is not very fast, with the use of physics. I guess physics can be okay sometimes. Only sometimes. A tier! Number 39. This theory actually isn't about how YouTube Rewind will end because it sucks, but because it might end due to Facebook. MatPat does make an accurate prediction about how Facebook has no chance overtaking YouTube because its users are too old. And without watching the video, yeah, this title seems like MatPat can see the future. Number 38. This episode looks at all the ways you could be hacked at any time, like having traffic lights slowed down to make your day just a little more difficult, or people hacking into your car and killing you. Cool. Number 37. This theory looks at how dating sims compare to real-life dating. It's absolutely for people that are dudes and people that are straight, of which I am neither. That said, according to MatPat, according to the University of Wisconsin, 3% of men approach women they're attracted to. If that's true, wow, that's sad. Anyways, number 34 through 36. These three psychology episodes all ask the same question. Are the bad guys of these games all actually that bad? These two episodes come to the conclusion that the bad guys of their games all have tragic enough backstories to be excused a little bit, but the Batman video, a vintage game theory, actually concludes that yes, they are that bad, and Batman is also that bad for putting them in a prison that keeps letting them loose. Number 33. I like hearing about Bible stories they don't teach you in Sunday school. Number 32. Mario wears red and has a mustache and wears a hat. And there are mushrooms in Russia? This theory is so stupid and I love it for that. Number 31. This theory is about 80s action man Duke Nukem, a character that doesn't work with modern day audiences because he was a blatant copy of other 80s characters. I had no idea who this guy was, and now I know all about 80s action man Duke Nukem. Very educational. Number 29 and 30. These early game theories are not theories whatsoever. It's just MatPat looking at weird obscure superheroes, and also about how to read body language to tell if people are lying. These are fun. These are cute. I like them. Number 28. This theory looks at how it's possible this guy survived getting shot in the head and real-life cases of surviving traumatic brain injury. He talks about the real-life story of Phineas Gage and, oh my goodness, I learned about that guy in school! Isn't it the best feeling ever when you already know something in a game theory? I feel so smart. Number 27. As a scared little kid, I played hours and hours of Minecraft, but never actually beat the Ender Dragon, so this was actually the first time I heard Minecraft had an ending. And I like MatPat's take on these guys. Very inspirational. Number 26. This theory is a little bit ominous and a little bit scientific. MatPat goes over the difference between amplitude and frequency in sound waves and concludes that at any time, a sound could be playing at such a high amplitude it kills you, but at such a low frequency you won't even hear it. Cool. Number 25. This game was begging to have a game theory about it, and I think MatPat delivered. MatPat claims in the video that the kid dies in the toy chest and he locks himself in to escape his life. Whoa. Number 24. This was like my favorite episode back in the day. As MatPat himself states,
She looks smoking hot in a biker outfit.
little me knew this very well. So I always played as Rosalina in Mario Kart, and it made me feel very cool when I watched this episode to know she had a tragic backstory. But looking at it now, I don't think there's any crazy good evidence in here that definitely hints that Peach is Rosalina's mother. Like, she does look kind of like Peach, but I feel like hair whoops and earrings are just kind of the default woman template in Mario. I still like this theory, it's just not my number one theory anymore. Number 22 and 23. These Mario theories have more of those darker conclusions for such a cute little game that make them so juicy. Here, MatPat concludes that Peach has Stockholm Syndrome because she lets herself get kidnapped repeatedly, and here, MatPat puts together a theory that Bowser is just a sad little orphan boy that doesn't want children to be sad and alone. Speaking of children that are sad and alone, number 21. There it is, the true FNAF theory that started it all. The second FNAF theory ever here doesn't waste its time connecting the FNAF game to real life, but goes in for that sweet, sweet lore about what is actually happening in the game. The first ever FNAF video proved that people wanted to see a theory about FNAF. But this video proved that people wanted to see not just one video, but so much more FNAF content. Number 20. Old school MatPat goes out in the middle of a desert and smashes a bunch of fruit to simulate killing zombies. This video isn't a traditional game theory, but it screams old YouTube, and I love it for that. Number 19. This whole theory is built off the achievement you get when you throw the companion cube into a fire. Fratricide, the murder of a sibling. I feel like this achievement is named that way because you have such an interesting relationship with the companion cube that it has become a sibling to you. MatPat takes this to mean that the achievement is named that way because there's literally a human stuffed inside of the cube. That's a leap in logic, but I really don't care. I like this leap in logic. It is fun. Number 18. I couldn't play Pokemon games again after this theory without thinking I was an animal abuser. Number 17. I think this was the game theory episode where I did the most actual learning. This episode not only let me know what neurotransmitters were, but also caused me to repeat the information back to my mom whenever I saw her playing Candy Crush like her life depended on it. Number 16. I have never played Final Fantasy, but MatPat explains very well in his theory that when this girl was attacked, she never actually died. She was just paralyzed and actually died at her own funeral when the hero of the story drowns her body in a lake. Oh, MatPat, how does your mind even come up with these things? 15. This theory makes sense. It's not super insane or anything. The creeper isn't Steve's dead mom or Purple Guy's long-lost brother, but creepers being a type of exploding moss that explodes to spread its spores is practical. It's down to earth. It is no way what Notch thought of when designing these guys, but I like it. Number 12 through 14. These three vintage theories feature the first ever That's Just a Theory, game theory, the first ever game theory intro where Mario runs across the screen, and the first ever game theory. Period. This was the first one. It wasn't about Mario or Pokemon or anything MatPat knew would get views, but it was about this RPG MatPat played at 9 years old, and I respect that. Number 11. This episode uses the Myers-Briggs personality test, the one with the 4 letters, to draw conclusions about which choice you would make in Life is Strange, where you get the choice between sacrificing your best friend or an entire town. Also, 77% of the people that took MatPat's survey were intuitors, or people that like to speculate and think about what the future could be. This is cool because only 30% of the general human population are intuitors. I love how game theory created a community of like-minded people. That's so wholesome. S tier. This is it, gamers. The S tier, my top 10 favorite episodes of game theory ever. There are still so many iconic episodes that weren't even covered in this ranking, but I have seen this ad for Wendy's like 50 times, and I'm going to hurt someone if I have to see it again, so without further ado, number 10. You might be asking, what is that? I've never seen that episode. Well, let me tell you, this is the first actual horror game theory, a genre I think MatPat has come to know very well. This episode is about how this rumored arcade game called Polybius could have been part of the shady government project MKUltra. The horror tone is so different from previous game theories that it actually caught me off guard when I was watching all these old game theories late at night. Very spooky. Number 9. MatPat begins this episode by talking about how drag relates to a quest in Final Fantasy, but eventually finds it necessary to talk about a larger trend he finds in games of the time. The only LGBTQ characters are portrayed as villains, violent people, or inhuman, with very few exceptions. I think it was really cool of MatPat to touch on this in a time when LGBT stuff was even more stigmatized than it is now. While it might not seem like a lot, subtle yet persistent negative representation of a group can absolutely shape perceptions of that group. And with this episode, MatPat played a small part in calling out this pattern. That was a lot of big words I just said. Number 8. In this episode, MatPat describes how each of the 5 locations in Majora's Mask correspond to a state of grief. And this actually makes a lot of sense. games. While this theory is taking a kid's game and making it dark, it's not just because saying Link is dead gets those sweet, sweet views. There really is a basis for a persuasive theory here. Number 7. The show is called Game Theory, and in this episode, YouTube Analytics is the game. This video was like MatPat pulling the curtain down, and I was able to see what all my favorite YouTubers had to deal with. Also, it's really cool to see MatPat talking about the top channels of YouTube and complaining about Vivo channels as the worst thing up there. Number 6. Toads are humans controlled by a parasite. There's really a parasitic mushroom out there that infects ants and turns them into puppets that live and die only to spread its spores. Whoa, game theory has actually taught me things. Number 6. For Halloween one year, I dressed up as one of the FNAF guys, and my friends went as Sans, Papyrus, and Kara. Chara, this one. I blame game theory for this. Also, Sans is absolutely Ness from Earthbound, and my heart will accept it no other way. Number 4. For context, because they all kind of blend together at this point, this is MatPat's third exploration into the FNAF lore. It really wasn't just luck and good timing that threw MatPat into the FNAF spotlight. It was also good editing and presentation, because even though I thought I had no interest in FNAF lore anymore, these videos did draw me back in a little bit. This powered trio of episodes, consisting of 36 minutes and 26 seconds with a combined 56 million views, is no longer just a theory. It's a cultural phenomenon and MatPat's descent into madness over this franchise. Number 3. This episode covers how throughout the series of Smash games, the kid playing all the Nintendo characters you play as is gradually growing up from someone who plays with stuffies to someone who plays with collectibles to an adult with feelings about what he has created. The kid represents the creator of Smash games, Masahiro Sakurai, looking back at his own feeling of pressure to conform to society and grow out of video games. Super Smash 4 has you actually destroy the hand and fight the darkness within it, or the creator's conflict about being linked to a franchise with so many sequels. Looking back on it now, this entire theory can also apply to MatPat and his position with game theory. So much so that it's actually kinda scary. In this episode, he talks about the lose-lose situation that Sakurai finds himself in. He wants to move on to other things from the series he spent years and years of his life on, but that would mean leaving it to someone else to possibly turn into something else. Does that remind you of anything? Number 2. With this episode, I specifically remember coming home from school and being so excited the new FNAF theory was out. But I didn't just pick this episode as number 2 solely based off nostalgia. In my opinion, this is where I think MatPat actually solved FNAF. FNAF 1 through 4 are this kid's dreams. Even though more stuff was added later to disprove it, this theory just makes too much sense based on Scott's clues for it to be wrong. Pardon my FNAF, but Toy Chica's beak is missing in the toy animatronics because this kid's toy came apart and the child saw it. Balloon Boy is the dream version of this kid. Foxy's jump scare is so sudden because it's based off of the older brother's torture methods. The worker's shifts end with the grandfather clock chiming because the crying child is waking up in the morning. Anyways, number 1! These episodes surpass the label theory, because these episodes are an absolute certified game of fact. MatPat says,
Trust me, it gives me no pleasure to tell you that Mario is an opportunistic animal abuser or cruel, unfeeling brother.
Well, MatPat, I disagree, because this entire theory, we can hear the joy in your voice when exposing this absolute madman. I remember watching these episodes on my grandma's couch when my worldview was changed forever. And isn't that what game theory is all about? Thinking deeper about games, and eventually other media, and coming to your own, usually darker and often downright ridiculous, conclusions. Alright, so, that's it! That's my tribute to game theory. Okay, bye.